Hey there, it's me, Jack. I'm just your average Joe trying to navigate this thing called life. Lately, things have been weird, real weird. It started with an itch, this nagging feeling at the back of my mind, like something was off, out of place, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I brushed it off as stress, the daily grind getting to me. I popped some pills, hoping it would go away. But it didn't. It got worse. Days turned into weeks, and the feeling intensified. I knew something was wrong, deeply wrong. It happened a couple of nights ago. I woke up, but something was different. I wasn't in my bed, wasn't in my apartment. Panic seized me, cold and sharp, as I looked around the unfamiliar room. It was bare, desolate, with peeling paint and a musty smell that clung to the air like a shroud. Disoriented and afraid, I stumbled to my feet, my heart pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. My eyes darted around the room, searching for something familiar, anything that could explain how I ended up here. That's when I saw it. Scrawled on the wall in what looked like dried blood, a single chilling message. Stay awake. The words seemed to pulsate, mocking me, daring me to close my eyes. A shiver ran down my spine and my breath hitched in my throat. This couldn't be real. It had to be a nightmare, a cruel joke. The next day was a blur. I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. The chilling message seared into my mind. I tried to convince myself it was just a bad dream, a prank gone wrong. But deep down I knew better. The metallic scent of blood, the stark fear that clung to me like a second skin. It was all too real. Nightfall came too soon. I woke with a gasp, my heart hammering in my chest. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. I was lying on a cold dirt floor, my clothes damp and covered in leaves. Panic surged through me, icy and immediate. The next 2 nights followed the same horrifying pattern. Each time I closed my eyes, I woke up somewhere new, somewhere terrifying. A dilapidated church, its pews overturned, the air thick with the stench of decay. An abandoned hospital, its corridors echoing with the whispers of the dead, and always the message, scrawled in blood, a constant reminder of my terrifying predicament. The flickering light of the television screen painted the room in shades of grey, the drone of the news anchor a dull roar in the silence of my apartment. My bloodshot eyes, gritty with fatigue, struggled to focus on the images flashing across the screen. A shiver ran down my spine, a jolt of adrenaline piercing through the fog of exhaustion. It was the church, the dilapidated building, where I had woken up just 2 nights ago. My breath caught in my throat as the camera panned across the scene, showing the overturned pews, the shattered stained glass windows, and then the blood. Police are investigating the gruesome discovery of 3 bodies found earlier this morning in an abandoned church in the city's outskirts. Desperate for answers, I clung to every word of the news report. They mentioned a detective, a grizzled veteran known for his unorthodox methods, assigned to the case. Detective Miller. Maybe he could help. Maybe he would believe me. I had to try. The phone felt heavy in my trembling hand, the dial tone a jarring sound in the stillness of the night. I punched in the number, each digit a small victory against the overwhelming urge to succumb to sleep, to the oblivion that awaited me. The gruff voice on the other end of the line was hesitant, skeptical, but there was a flicker of something else too, a spark of curiosity perhaps that kept me going. The diner was a greasy spoon, the kind of place that had seen better days but held on to its faded glory with a stubborn pride. Detective Miller sat across from me, his face half hidden behind a cloud of cigarette smoke. His eyes, though, were sharp, piercing, taking in every detail of my disheveled appearance, my bloodshot eyes, the tremor in my hands that I couldn't quite control. He listened intently as I recounted my story, his gaze never leaving my face. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair, the scent of stale coffee and cigarettes swirling around us. "You know this sounds crazy, right?" he said, his voice a low rumble. The next few days were a blur of fear and paranoia. I couldn't sleep, couldn't escape the chilling reality of the nightmare I was trapped in. Detective Miller's investigation seemed to hit a dead end. The victims, as far as they could tell, were unconnected. No witnesses, no suspects, no motive. I became obsessed, scouring news reports, online forums, anything that could offer a clue, an explanation. And then one night, while sifting through online message boards, a name jumped out at me: the Sandman. Days blurred into nights. Sleep was a distant memory, a luxury I could no longer afford. My apartment, once a sanctuary, now felt like a cage, the walls closing in with each passing hour. The constant fear, the gnawing exhaustion, it was wearing me down, chipping away at my sanity. The lines between reality and nightmare continued to blur, the whispers of my subconscious seeping into my waking hours. Driven by desperation, I delved deeper into the legend of the Sandman. Local libraries, historical archives, even dusty old bookstores became my hunting grounds. I scoured ancient texts, yellowed newspaper clippings, anything that could shed light on this shadowy figure who haunted my waking hours. The more I learned, the more convinced I became that this was no mere legend. The Sandman, it seemed, had been preying on the citizens of this city for decades, perhaps even centuries. One evening, while following a lead on a particularly gruesome tale, I stumbled upon a hidden room in the city's archives. The air was thick with dust and the scent of decay, the musty odor of forgotten things. Cobwebs draped the shelves like macabre curtains, and the only light came from a flickering gas lamp that cast long, eerie shadows across the room. In the center of the room, covered in a thick layer of dust, lay a large, leather-bound journal. My heart pounded in my chest as I reached out a trembling hand to open it. As I devoured the diary's contents, a terrifying truth dawned on me. I wasn't just a victim in the Sandman's game, I was a player. Each time I succumbed to sleep, I was drawn deeper into his web, closer to his lair. The blood messages, the terrifying locations, they were all part of his twisted game, designed to break my mind, to drive me to the brink of madness. The diary offered a glimmer of hope, a way to fight back, but it came at a terrible price. To defeat the Sandman, I had to confront him on his own turf, in the realm of dreams. The diary became my lifeline, a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. The dream hunter left a trail to the Sandman's lair within his journal. It spoke of ancient rituals and a hidden world beneath our reality, the realm of dreams. Sleep, once my refuge, was now the enemy. I knew I couldn't avoid it forever. Sooner or later, my body would betray me. But I could prepare. I could arm myself with the dream hunter's secrets and face the nightmare. The diary spoke of a ritual to enter the Sandman's lair with a sliver of consciousness intact. It was risky, but my only chance. The words swam before my eyes, the symbols both alluring and terrifying. Whispers seemed to emanate from the pages, echoing the voices that haunted my waking hours. Was it exhaustion playing tricks, or was the diary a gateway to the entity I was trying to escape? Gathering the necessary components for the ritual was a journey in itself. Obscure herbs and powders from forgotten apothecaries, strange artifacts from dusty antique shops. Each acquisition a step further down the rabbit hole. The air crackled with anticipation as I arranged the items. Candles cast flickering shadows on the walls, transforming the space into something unsettling. The scent of incense filled the air, contrasting with the metallic tang of blood. As the final moments ticked away, a sense of foreboding washed over me, but there was no turning back. I began to recite the incantation, the words feeling foreign and ancient on my tongue. The candle flames sputtered and danced, casting grotesque shapes on the walls. A wave of dizziness washed over me, and the world around me dissolved into a swirling vortex of colors and shapes. The familiar boundaries of my apartment crumbled away, replaced by a landscape both alien and eerily familiar. I was in the realm of dreams, the Sandman's domain. The air hung heavy with a cloying sweetness, a stark contrast to the suffocating darkness that pressed in from all sides. Distorted shapes loomed in the distance, twisted parodies of trees and buildings, their edges blurred and indistinct. Whispers followed me like shadows, whispering my name, taunting me, urging me deeper into the labyrinth. Fear, cold and primal, coiled in the pit of my stomach. But beneath the fear, a flicker of determination burned bright. The dream hunter's words echoed in my mind, a roadmap through this treacherous landscape. I had to find the Sandman, confront him, end his reign of terror, even if it cost me my soul. With every step, the whispers grew louder, the shadows more menacing. The air crackled with anticipation, the sense of an unseen presence watching my every move. I was walking into the lion's den, a lamb to the slaughter, but this time I had a choice. This time I would fight back. The path led through a twisted forest, the trees gnarled and skeletal, their branches reaching out like grasping claws. The air grew colder, the sweet scent replaced by the metallic tang of blood, stronger now, a suffocating presence. Whispers morphed into screams, echoing through the endless expanse of the Sandman's domain, a chorus of tormented souls trapped in their own personal hells. As I pushed deeper into the heart of the nightmare, I began to recognize fragments of the places I had been taken, the abandoned buildings, the desolate landscapes, all woven together in a macabre tapestry of fear and despair. The Sandman had been watching me all along, toying with me, herding me towards this inevitable confrontation. The path opened into a clearing, and a towering structure materialized from the swirling darkness. It was a cathedral, its once grand facade now crumbling and decayed, its stained glass windows shattered, replaced by swirling vortexes of shadows and light. This was the Sandman's lair, a twisted reflection of a place of worship, a monument to fear and despair. A figure stood on the cathedral steps, shrouded in shadow, its form shifting and indistinct. As I drew closer, the figure turned, and the shadows parted, revealing the face of the Sandman. He was not what I expected. No monstrous visage, no demonic horns or glowing eyes. He was a man, older, his face etched with a weariness that spoke of ages spent wandering the darkest corners of the human psyche. But his eyes, those eyes held an ancient power, a depth of darkness that sent shivers down my spine. "You have come far." The Sandman's voice was a low rasp, devoid of inflection, yet it seemed to resonate deep within my bones. "I have been expecting you." Fear threatened to cripple me, to root me to the spot. But I fought against it, drawing strength from the memory of the victims, from the knowledge gleaned from the dream hunter's diary. I would not be another trophy in his macabre collection, another soul lost to his eternal night. "I know what you are," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "I know what you've done." The Sandman's lips curled into a humorless smile. "Do you?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper, yet it seemed to fill the entire dreamscape. "Or do you merely cling to the illusions of your waking world, a world on the brink of collapse, a world consumed by its own darkness?" They never found the bodies. The police, after weeks of fruitless investigation, chalked it up to mass hysteria, a shared delusion fueled by urban legends and too much late-night internet browsing. Detective Miller, his skeptical gaze softened by a flicker of doubt, let the case go cold. Or maybe he just stopped asking questions I couldn't answer without sounding insane. I walked away from the encounter forever changed. The line between dreams and reality, once a clear demarcation, had blurred, leaving behind a haunting uncertainty that clung to me like a shroud. The Sandman, whether a figment of a shared nightmare or a malevolent entity preying on the edges of consciousness, had left his mark. Sleep, once a sanctuary, was now a battlefield. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw glimpses of that otherworldly realm, felt the Sandman's presence lurking at the edges of my subconscious. The fear remained, a constant companion, a reminder of the price of wakefulness. But I was alive, haunted, forever changed, but alive. And in the end, wasn't that all that mattered? The world was a dark place, filled with shadows and whispers, and sometimes the only way to survive was to stay awake, to face the horrors head-on and to never ever close your eyes.